appropriate that we ask former Vice President Topliff to chair the meeting should she's in the room with you all. And I'm using one of my exceptions.
Oh, well, I'm the third choice. You're the third choice. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. Accepted. Accepted. I'd like to call this meeting to order and announce that the meeting is being recorded. Jonathan, could we have a roll call, please?
Director Brent,
Here.
do you want to do your disclosure right now too?
I'm set.
Yes, there's no one else here in the room with me.
Oh.
Yeah. Director Deschler,
Here.
Director Freeman,
Here.
Director Hobart,
Here.
Director Sipos,
Here.
Director Topliff,
Here.
Director Plot is absent.
Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Anascoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. I would like to move now to item 2, the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions about that, or are there members of the public that wish to speak on it? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Seconded.
No, I'm entertaining.
I'm motion to
Make
accept the consent agenda and move forward.
Perfect. Okay, do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, so that's made by Director Sipos and seconded by Director Freeman. And we'll have a roll call vote.
Director Brent,
Yes.
Director Freeman,
Yes.
Director Topliff,
Yes.
Director Deschler,
Yes.
Director Hobart,
Yes.
Director Sipos.
Yes. Okay, now we enter the public comment period. At this time, any member of the public may speak on matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Board of Directors that are not on the agenda. The board will not take action on any item not on the agenda except as provided by law. Any public comment?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I'll move along to item 4.1, Resolution 25-9, Remembrance of May 23rd, 2014. This is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Isla Vista Community Services District honoring the lives lost during the May 23rd, 2014 tragedy. George Chen, Chang Yuan Hong, Wai Han Wang, Catherine Cooper, Christopher Ross Michaels Martinez, and Veronica Weiss. Whereas on May 23rd, 2014, 6 lives of Isla Vista community members were lost to senseless violence by a sole perpetrator. And whereas those who lost their lives are George Chen, Chang Yuan Hong, Wai Han Wang, Catherine Cooper, Christopher Ross Michaels Martinez, and Veronica Weiss. And whereas 14 other community members were injured by the perpetrator as the incident took place. And whereas Isla Vista law enforcement acted bravely on the evening of May 23rd, 2014 to end the incident. And whereas this tragedy, motivated by hatred, misogyny, and racism, was felt across the entire community and came after an already difficult year for residents. And whereas the community came together in the aftermath at Anascoyo Park on May 24th and Harder Stadium on May 27th, 2014, to memorialize the friends and neighbors that were lost. And whereas the Isla Vista Love and Remembrance Garden was established in People's Park by community member Jordan Killebrew and the Isla Vista Recreation and Park District, with support from the Associated Students, UCSB Office of Student Life and Art Department, the Pan-Hellenic Council, local businesses, and more community members. And now therefore, the Board of Directors of the Isla Vista Community Services District hereby resolves as follows. The community members, George Chen, Chang Yuan Hong, Wai Han Wang, Catherine Cooper, Christopher Ross Michaels Martinez, and Veronica Weiss, lost on May 23rd, 2014, are remembered and memorialized. The Isla Vista Community Services District encourages community members to come together as is comfortable in the remembrance of this day and those lost at the Love and Remembrance Garden. Any comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
I'll move to adopt this resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion is made by Deschler and seconded by Sipos. We'll have a roll call, please, John.
Director Brandt,
Yes.
Director Deschler,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Seapost, Topliff.
Yes. Okay, the motion passes.
Director,
I think he's saying something. His little hands
You
up.
wish to speak, Director President Brandt?
thank you so much. I just wanted to say a big thank you to our team for preparing this resolution. Remembrance is really important. It's about our roots as a district and where we came from. It's where our community came from. And in a time like today, where I think for a lot of us, it feels like our values are very challenged, where we see a lot of the hatred and misogyny that was present 11 years ago being pushed into the mainstream in some ways by important actors. It's important to also recognize what our community did in response to come together after this tragedy to try to prevent it from ever happening again and to make an Isla Vista that is a better, more inclusive, safer place than it was 11 years ago to that day, and to remind ourselves what is possible when we come together and work together. So thank you.
Thank you, President Brandt. So the motion has passed, and now we can move along to item 4.2, the Isla Vista Community Garden Annual Report by the Edible Campus Program.
All right, so yeah, we have our Edible Campus program team here, Katie Maynard leading them, and I'll share the screen and let you all.
Do you have the slide deck?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll just introduce myself and then have our interns introduce themselves. So my name is Katie Maynard. I use she, her pronouns. I'm Director of Student Sustainability Initiatives and advisor for the Edible Campus Program. I'd like to introduce our interns.
My name is Lucinda Zhang. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm the garden coordinator for the Ivy Community Center Garden.
What
Do you
is
wanna
your
share
first
a little-
name? I'm sorry.
Lucinda.
Lucinda.
And do you want to just share a little bit about your internship?
So I feel very grateful to hold my current internship position because I feel like it has a very meaningful impact on the community. I already had like so many people, like residents here, like come up to me and say how much they appreciate our like project here at the gardens and how much it helps support the community. And I feel like it's a really important mission.
Hi, and I'm Elizabeth Lane, and I actually just recently started a few weeks ago as the neighborhood engagement and education intern for the Edible Campus program. So that'll be a position that we start this summer and do throughout all of the next school year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're happy to have you here.
So if you want to sit, then we'll go to the slide deck.
I just got this from the Word
Okay,
doc, right? I didn't get
I
a
can-
slide deck.
Sorry,
I can add it on.
reshare it with you. She's in the other building. Wonderful. And Sequoia, if you want to introduce yourself while I'm sending us the
Hi,
slides.
I'm Sequoia. I work for the Methodist Community Garden.
And can you tell them about like what you enjoyed about the internship this year?
Yeah, so I really did enjoy it, the internship this year. I feel like I learned a lot about sustainable agriculture. However, it wasn't on a very large scale. I feel like that was very insightful. I also got to engage a whole lot of the community around Methodist and even around, I was also at another garden, even around that garden as well.
So I'll go ahead and have a seat. And I just sent over the slide deck, so you should be able to receive that in just a moment. Let me know if you don't get it.
I got it.
So we'll make the presentation very short today because I know we only have about 15 minutes to present. So we're going to do 5 to 10 minutes for the presentation and then 5 minutes for Q&A with you all as well. Wait, and that's our slides coming up right now. Great. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So just a little bit about the Edible Campus program. So we work in partnership with the University United Methodist Community Church, the Isla Vista Community Center, and the Isla Vista Community Services District to offer 2 gardens that are funded through this program, and that's the Methodist and the Ivy Community Center garden. We also support several other gardens, one in Isla Vista, the St. Michael's Community Garden, and then also 3 on campus, the 2 family student housing gardens and the greenhouse and garden project as well. And then we really help to revitalize underutilized spaces and bring community pride into Isla Vista, really amplify the community pride that's already here and help people really develop a strong sense of stewardship of the community. The next slide. So I just want to share a couple of the numbers from this year. So we connected with 6,949 students through different class announcements. We kept this number a little bit separate because that number could blow up really quickly with large classes. But we also engaged 3,415 community members, including both students and non-students, in workshops, volunteer events, and block parties. We mobilized 1,070 volunteers this year, and we also reached 1,034 non-student community members through workshops. So I'm going to pull that number out of the 3,000 so you could see our non-student engagement. And we hosted 330 events total over the year as well. Next slide. So these are just a couple of pictures from our education team. So we do workshops primarily on how to grow food really affordably, accessibly, and simply within your own home or community garden. So we do a lot of workshops like windowsill gardening and how to grow hydroponics in a mason jar, or what to grow in the spring season or the fall season, how to do companion planting. And our emphasis is really trying to make it as simple and easy and engaging as possible, that you don't have to be an expert to be a gardener, although certainly you can refine your skills over the years as well. We also run a program called Nature Wellbeing, which is funded through the Equity and Mental Health program, but has crossover with some of our interns and allows for us to do mental health and self-care through gardening as well. So that's a fun program. And then the education team partnered with Madre a Madre this year, which is a Chicano families group. We teach once a month in this room in Spanish, and we do different types of gardening and connecting with nature workshops. We did a fairy garden workshop with them last year. We also have done workshops with the housing authorities. We did some workshops at Pescadero Lofts this year, and also some combined events with Showers of Blessing. So really trying to reach the non-student community as well. Okay, next slide. One of the projects we're really proud of, and I'm sure you all heard about a lot this year, was our We Are Isla Vista Community Care Project. So we launched that as an initiative to really lean into the idea of stewardship of the community and to bring all the different service providers that are already running volunteer events, including our garden programs, but also Ivy Beautiful and Ivy Compost Collective and Ivy Rec and Parks District, and to bring all these organizations together to try to highlight all our volunteer events at once and really engage the community to say, hey, we are the stewards of this community. We are Isla Vista, and we care about this space, and we're gonna invest in the future with really a hope that it's not just kind of a one-off volunteering, but really that it starts volunteering over the year, and that if they cleaned up the block right in front of their house, they're more likely to next week when they walk by that block, I can't believe there's trash on the ground. I just cleaned that up last week, and maybe they'll clean it up again. Maybe they'll pick up that trash again because they put so much effort into it the last week.
Did you just go mention those entities again?
Yeah, so we worked with Isla Vista Rec and Parks District. We renovated their volleyball court. We worked with Showers of Blessings and did a distribution of materials to Showers to the residents and so the community members that take advantage of showers of blessings. We worked with St. Michael's Community Church, where we built 17 new garden beds. We worked with Isla Vista Beautiful and Adopt a Block through Isla Vista Parks, and we cleaned up about 60 blocks through both street sweeping via Ivy Beautiful and litter pickup through Adopt a Block. We did several murals throughout the week with Ivy Beautiful. We built a compost curing station with Ivy Compost Collective. We did a pizza party with Friendship Manor, where we got everybody together between students and long-term residents in Friendship Manor to do a cross-generational pizza party. And that was very beautiful. Yeah, and then we worked with a lot of student organizations as volunteer groups to host different events as well. So yes, and we and Habitat for Humanity provided the funding for the supplies for that. This grant that you will have funded us with covered a lot of the internship time that went into planning this. And then we've actually had conversations with Habitat for Humanity where they were so excited and inspired by what had started as a one-time grant to us. They want to build into their budget next year and continue to partner with us. So it'll be a little bit of a different scale and scope next year, but they really want to continue the collaboration, continue the work. We'll be meeting over the summer to flesh out exactly what that looks like. And in this 1 week, we ended up with around 300 volunteers across events throughout the week. We did 2 to 3 events a day for about 10-day period. Yeah. All right, so if you want to go to the next slide. So Garden Club and Turning Blue. So one of the things we've been really working on is we have 2 types of gardens. We have plot-based community gardens. We have very shared-based community gardens. And in Isla Vista in particular, we're really trying to lean into the communal plot model, where instead of each individual student or community member having their own 8-foot by 3-foot piece of land that's only theirs, we're really trying to lean into the idea of everybody coming together to plant together, to grow together, to harvest together. And Methodist is 100% this way. Ivy Community Center is 100% this way. St. Michael's is about 80% communal and then about 20% private plots. And one of the things we started doing at St. Michael's is painting all the plots blue that you could harvest from, so you could differentiate between the private and the public plots. And we extended that out actually to Methodist this year because we really wanted to get that message out to the community that everybody could harvest. So even though it's 100% communal, we wanted to paint it blue and really shout out that it was communal. And one of the things we have noticed, and Sequoia can talk more to, is that every time we're out in the garden, we're seeing people coming in and harvesting and checking what's in season and checking what's ready. And so we've really seen quite a lot of community members engage in that process. And then our garden club, yeah.
Is this obnoxious?
No, I love it.
Okay. So how do the people that harvest have to participate with like an hourly requirement to work in the garden or anything like that?
No, we keep it much more open to that. They do have to harvest themselves. So that's one requirement. So we're using the community food producer guidelines to not have to hit as stringent health safety requirements in order to allow people to grow, to harvest on their own. So they just need to be broadly considered a member of the garden. And if you are engaging in any of our activities, including harvesting, you are a member of our garden, but you must harvest yourself. We can't like harvest and store it for you and prepare it for you and bring it to you. So we do encourage them to come out and actually be the ones to pick it. And then that saves us from any type of storage or handling issues related to health and safety. Yeah. And what we have found is a lot of folks, they might start by harvesting, but then they come and harvest and Sequoia's out and working in the garden or Lucinda's working out in the garden, and then they start getting a conversation going and then we get them to volunteer the next week. So sometimes they volunteer first and then harvest, and sometimes they harvest first and then volunteer, but we get them involved either way. And then Garden Club was a new idea that Sequoia and Vanessa came up with this year. Actually, I don't know if you just want to say a little bit about Garden Club.
Yeah, so one of the challenges I found in Methodist was that people really didn't have a clear path to get involved. Very frequently when I'm in the garden, people who harvest are feeling like they need to contribute something, but they really don't have any idea how to do that, leading me to have to tell them that there's multiple volunteering opportunities. But this is just a way to simplify that and engage the community in this garden in particular. We let them know how they can get involved, and we have our weekly meetings where they can share their opinions about what is being grown in the garden, for instance, or how to harvest, or when to harvest, and that sort of thing. We do activities that range from painting birdhouses to actually planting out a bed so that they feel a connection towards the plot. Even though it's not technically their plot, they contributed to those plants, and by coming back and watching them grow, they have this connection to the space.
So we had over 1,000 volunteers this past year, and then we had our internship opportunities, but we're looking for that thing that was in the middle, an opportunity that maybe you don't want to do a full internship, but you want to do a little bit more than volunteering. You want to give some vision and guidance to the garden, and that's really where Garden Club comes in. So let's go ahead into the next slide. So Ivy Community Center, we have been doing our monthly workshops with Madre and Madre, as I mentioned. We've been doing a lot more engagement in open house events in the community center this year. So when they do the services that are hosted within the community center open houses, we always go to those, and we've been tabling a lot of the thrift events. I'm really just trying to be there and be present to talk about the garden as folks are utilizing the space. And then we have finally gotten the gophers at Ivy Community Center, so we've been working a little bit more on some gopher protections this year. It is more separated by cement than many of our other places, but the gophers figured out that we were growing some yummy things, and so they have made the tunnels out to us. So we're starting to do some more cages within that space as well. Next slide. So now I just want to talk a little bit about the budget, and then we'll wrap up and take any other questions you have. So this is our budget from last year. We had one lien at the end of last year, which is just towards that Ivy Community Center expansion, exploration, and we spent out what had been liened and already committed in our contract with the studio for that. We were budgeted for $21,120 in staffing. We spent $19,806, but that doesn't include all of the end of May and June wages, so we'll spend that out by the end of June. Supplies, we had predicted $8,080, came in at $8,349.36. Water came in at $800, we had predicted $800, it came in a little higher at $1,094. And that with that spend out, we do expect to be fully spent out actually before the end of June. Next slide. And then our 25-26 budget, we're wanting to keep very similar to that. As you all know, wages went up with minimum wage, as did ours. And so we do anticipate a little bit extra in staffing to keep the same amount of staffing as this year. So we are requesting $35,000 instead of $30,000. Little bump in the staffing amount, and then actually a little bit of a decrease in supplies, a little bit more on the water, trash, and recycling, just because we've seen some of those utilities go up. And then that'll get us to the $35,000 flat. And with that, I'll just take any questions that folks have. And I know Jackie just joined us, who's also our volunteer coordinator, so if you have any questions about volunteering, she can also answer questions there too.
Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, I have questions. Okay, so
You had questions before, you've got questions now.
I know.
I love it.
So the 35,000 is just for this the St. Michael's component?
Oh, no, sorry. You actually don't directly fund St. Michael's. You
Okay.
only fund our Methodist Community Garden and the Ivy Community Center Garden.
Okay.
And then St. Michael's was a project that we had actually started before we started this grant with you all. So we fund that through other funders.
So the 35,000 is just going to Ivy Community Center and
Methodist Community
Methodist.
Garden. Methodist Community Garden was founded on a grant from Ivy Community Services District, and we've gotten a little bit of funding from other sources, but the majority of it is funded through the Community Services District.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask you how you interface with the Compost Collective.
Yeah, so we did do a series of workshops this year called Extract Escapades, and that was really fun. And so they taught us how to extract compost tea from the compost that they were making, and we were able to directly apply it to the garden beds during a series of workshops. We started doing that in fall quarter and testing it out. The first 2 times we offered it, it was pretty well attended, and we got folks excited about trying to figure out what compost extracts are. We found the attendance dropped off a little bit. Folks were really interested in trying it once, but not necessarily coming back the second time to do it. And so one of the things we've been talking with Carly about is expanding that a little bit more into more of a composting series with a variety of different topics, maybe doing like a monthly workshop joint between Edible Campus and Compost Collective on different composting topics. And we think our base would be really excited to hear from different types of compost topics rather than just focusing on extracts. So that's something we're going to try in this coming year. And yeah.
So do you use the product, the compost in the gardens?
We used to have access to that for free, but that's now at costs us a fee that's higher than we pay for compost when we have to buy it from local nurseries. So it's we don't currently.
Okay. That's disappointing. No, I mean, it's a bummer. It's a bummer that it's too high for you. Okay. That's all I have.
Other questions, comments?
I think Spencer, our fearless
Oh, I
leader.
see your little hand there. I thought it was a lapel pin.
Right, it's hard to see against the background. Hey, Katie, thank you so much for the presentation. Help me understand. So it's a $5,000 increase on the salaries, and what's the current amount of intern hours that we're getting now versus what you're asking?
The number of hours for the interns would be the same. It's just the minimum wage went up, and so that has caused an increase in our salary projections. So the minimum wage went up by 50 cents in January, and then we also did some recalibration with the campus where we submitted job descriptions, and some of our positions also ended up with a slightly higher wage based on the job work that they were doing. And between those two, that's like where our wages increased. So we are expecting 4 interns at 10 hours a week. We're working 12 months of the year. And that's the same as we've done in the past. We're just shifting. We just need a little bit more money to maintain that staffing, but not necessarily increase staffing.
What is the wages?
So our garden operations team makes $16.50 an hour. Our volunteer coordinators, outreach, education team does $16.75. And that's based on to be comparable with what we do on campus.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. I wanted to just add to that. I think the collaboration and partnership with Compost Collective is great. And I wondered too, I really liked what you had to say about trying to encourage the community to feel like they don't have to, have any sort of like expertise or training to be able to utilize the garden. And I wondered if you thought about like, or have plans for any sort of like wayfinding or, signage to try to explain that to the community.
Yeah, many of our gardens do have signs that volunteers have painted over the years. And then as we try to do new paintings, new volunteer days, we try to update those signage as well. Primarily right now, we've just done signage to name the different plants. We haven't gotten into like more explanatory signage yet, but that's a good idea to consider.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm trying to visualize all this.
Yeah.
So UCSB has a number of gardens. IVCSD has 2 sites. Are there other sites between UCSB and what IVCSD?
Yeah, so in Isla Vista, there's the Methodist and Ivy Community Center, which receive funding from this grant or have. The St. Michael's, which the Compost Collective operates out of, but the garden portion is funded through our campus and our other donors. And then you have the Ivy Rec and Parks District Gardens. So Estero Park has a garden that predates most of the other gardens in the area, as well as Sueño Orchards. And then going back out into campus, Edible Campus partners with the 2 family student housing gardens and also the greenhouse and garden project. There's also the student farm, which Edible Campus helped to launch, and we still provide some volunteers and do some workshops with, but the student farm is now run by the Associate Students Department of Public Works, so we sort of handed that off and let them run with it, and then we provide the education outreach side for the student farm. There's also the Three Sisters Four Directions Garden, which is sort of a part of the West Campus Family Student Housing Garden, but is a separate space within that garden dedicated to the American Indigenous Student Association. We also provide volunteers and support to them, though they tend to run most of their own workshops.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you, for the Habitat for Humanity grant, all those gardens were touched by that, or just in Isla Vista?
So for the Habitat for Humanity, we had kind of a unique idea, which we might have taken a little too far, but the idea was to try to create mini blocks. And so one of the concepts was to take Isla Vista and divide it about 6 or 7 mini blocks, and then to try to do something like We Are Isla Vista in each of the 6 blocks, and then really try to hyper localize all the volunteering, but bring together not just the gardens were a big part of it, but also bring all these other organizations and volunteer groups together in that space, with the idea that, like, if you walked into that part of IV, you couldn't miss us. You really saw that there was something big happening that week, and the idea that you'd really be volunteering for something across the street from you and really have that connection to the space. That was the general concept. So we brought together IV Rec and Parks District, where we did building the volleyball court. So not just a garden, but actually, like, think about the volleyball space that they had there. We did murals with ID Beautiful. We did street cleanups, also with ID Beautiful and Adopt a Block, right? So we're doing a lot of things that weren't just garden. In the future, we found that, like, mini block thing didn't work as well as we were hoping, and it really just, I think next time we're just going to do all of IV together, rather than focusing on just a corner of IV. But it had some pros and cons. But we overall, the project worked really well. But the mini block thing, we probably will expand to the whole of IV. But yes, it included a lot more than just gardens.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, super impressive. As always.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really cool.
Any other comments or questions? Any public comments?
I have a comment if we're asking, if you want
Okay,
comments,
yeah.
but I thought we're doing comments later.
You know,
Comment?
I'm new at this job.
So I guess I first of all, Katie, I think you all may not know this, but I'm a Katie fan. And I'm always just amazed at the things that you create. And you always leverage amazing students and people in the community to just really have a tangible impact in the area of IB and also in UCSB. So thank you for all the work that you do. And there's an article in today's New York Times about a faculty member on campus who's a psychologist who talks about the value of creativity. And he talks about gardening and how that's just such an important way for people to have a mental stress break, a break from stress and to promote your mental health. And so I just thought of this when I was reading this about this agenda item tonight. My only comment that I have that and it's not directed toward you, it's more directed at the world of Isla Vista CSD, and that is, I'm disappointed that you all can't take advantage of the compost collective. And it's not on you, it's on the program, because it seems like you all should be using the product that is created here. And that's what this IV Compost Collective is about, is to be able to, to be able to use here in our community. So I'm sorry that it's not affordable for you all, because I think that would be beneficial for us in terms of our return on investment, because it's a significant cost. Anyways, but thank you for all the work you do. All of you, thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes. I think these projects are so fascinating with the gardens, not just the CSD people, but all the entities that are working on this. And what's your name? Lucinda? I've seen Lucinda out there out of the corner of my eye working on the gardens. It's great. So this is wonderful. Thank you for keeping us here in Isla Vista grounded to nature. It's it's a really great way to just keep the community grounded to nature. So thank you.
Any other comments? Well, then, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah.
And we're in our budget cycle now, so we'll certainly take your request into consideration. Although I'll tell you, we're a little tight on money ourselves right now, so we're having to make some hard choices about what amount of money is available for what. Yes.
Yes,
Oh, Spencer. I miss Spencer Meter for today.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Now you have a hand over your back. That's really hard to see.
Be back right next time. I just wanted to say a big thank you to the students that are working in the garden. I think that you're really embodying the maxim of leaving the community a little bit better than you found it. So thank you for your work, and thank you for your involvement.
Thanks, Spencer. Vaughn?
yes. At the moment, I'm not giving out too much information, but into the future, I'm thinking about a proposal that could help generate funding for all of this, all of these projects.
Okay, we'll
There's
await
more
your
to come.
return with those good ideas. Thank you. Okay, then I'll move the agenda along to an item 4.3, an internal operations annual report.
All right, well, this was on, Sydney was gonna present this one today, but she's out sick.
Oh, dear.
So I will do my best.
Okay.
I know the information too, but.
We're confident in you, Jonathan.
But this is the first time we just reviewed this report in terms of what our spending is on our basic operations. So, and we also had some internal operations goals that we had in place as well. So in terms of the goals we had for this area, we wanted to come up with a way to measure our program's impact, which we have we did at our retreat. The UUT, utility user tax audit, that's still in progress. We completed our LAFCO review on our other services. We do a LAFCO review every year, pretty much, like every other district. We created a response plan in terms of our internal roles. As you know, the district doesn't have a direct role in emergency response, but we have some positions that do some things like communication. So we clarified that internally. We've been updating a lot of our policies and procedures, and we did a huge amount this last year, and we restructured our rental housing mediation program. So a lot of accomplishments in this area, and Sydney and I, split these up, between ourselves and getting them done. Some annual fees that we spend. So we spend around $33,000 on programs annually. That's between things like our Zoom, our Trello, which is our work management software, our internet service. We have Adobe Pro now. So it's not a small amount, it's not a huge amount, but it is, these are our regular amounts that we spend. And I added a new chart here at the bottom, which is our workers' compensation and our insurance, general liability insurance. So these costs go up a lot.
I don't know if that's in our.
No, this is a new one. I just added this.
Okay, got it.
I just added this one little piece of
Okay.
information. I didn't make it in originally.
Okay.
Maybe I was a little confused. I feel like your mouse cursor, were you trying to point at it?
No. but
Okay,
can,
I was like following the
Oh,
cursor,
I
and
was
you're
just
pointing at
moving.
Google Workspace, and
No.
I was like.
Certainly understand that we can't read that.
No,
Yeah.
I'll email this out, but I did realize that this was additional information to add in. But we're paying $55,000 in general liability insurance right now and $16,000 on workers' compensation. And a lot of those costs are driven by payroll. So as your payroll amounts gets bigger, the insurance cost gets bigger. It's pretty much based on nothing else as far as I know. So as we hired more employees and as we give raises, I mean, they also changed their pricing structure as well. But in terms of how they judge us for how much they should charge us, it's based on the total amount of payroll spent and or planned for. And we've been using the same insurance provider for workers' comp, general liability insurance, and health insurance, and dental and vision. It's like one company that does all of these things for us.
And we don't get any discounts? Like
The-
progressive, would you discount?
There are discount programs, but we have to do some work to apply for them. So they're
Got it.
not instant discounts, but yeah, they did reach out to be with us.
Yeah.
To talk about some of them, but it's
Yeah.
things like if you go through this questionnaire and training and do X, Y, and Z, we'll give you, $1,000 rebate on your insurance. But so it's not like an easy to get discount.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have a number of different policies with them, therefore you get a certain
No,
percentage off.
nothing like that.
Nothing
Yeah, that would be nice.
Too bad.
It's kind of like both sides of the house. Like it's like
Yeah.
the part that does insurance or liability insurance and workers' comp is like unrelated to the health insurance part.
And is it the case that there aren't very many entities that do this for municipalities and special districts?
Well, I think we could technically go out and get any insurance we want as long as it met the requirements that we had. This is just one that's made like by and for special districts.
Got it.
So I think we can go out and get our workers' comp and insurance from other places. We can go out and get our health insurance from other places. But these companies are set up, we get a vote on the board of this company. Whereas if we went with a private company, we wouldn't, but that doesn't obviously get us much, right? Like it's not a direct line of influence, but it's like it's part of it's a joint powers
Like a
agreement.
collective kind of.
Yeah,
thing. Okay.
collective. So,
Yeah.
so technically, if special district members are on the board, they are supposedly trying to keep costs down for themselves as well, because their agencies will have to pay
Mhm.
these things too. That's the theory behind it. It's not clicking. Give me a second. Staff time breakdown. This is between me and Sydney. I won't go into the nitty gritty of all of it, but my operations time has been higher in the last year, working more on the parking project and getting that set up. So that's where a lot of my operations time has gone. And my team management has gone down over time because we have our new, director structure. And then Sydney's, that's essentially what we planned out for her job when we created the job a year ago. And it is pretty much happening. So we're pretty happy about that she's feeling good about the breakdown of time. And it's what we envisioned when we created the position. So
I think this looks very healthy myself.
I think so too.
For Sydney?
Well, I was looking at Jonathan at the moment, but
Mhm.
I mean, really in general, I think that this is a lot of very good time management, that you're really focusing on the important things.
Great, thank you.
And, sometimes I feel like your board duties must be like a ball and chain around your
No,
neck.
they're not. It's important. Yeah.
Well, no, but also, I mean, it's nice to see that it's not drowning you.
It'd be interesting to see the breakdown of meetings.
Like which kinds of meetings?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, at least I can speak for myself, is I go to, well, we have a lot of our CSD meetings, like our staff meetings, our one-on-ones. I go, we have our regular things like Ivy Community Network, Ivy Safe, I count those in. And then I'm just part of a lot of different, county, we'll have a meeting on emergency preparedness once a month. There's, there's just like a list of lots of different.
Yeah, I'd be
groups we go
interested
to.
in internal as
Internal.
and external. How much are you doing external facing? Because I think we
Yeah.
talked about that in other.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little confused by it because you said internal meetings are also part of meetings.
Yeah, I
And
messed,
what is
Oh.
team management?
I messed that up.
Oh,
Team
okay.
management is our one-on-ones. So I misspoke there, but
Okay.
our,
Team management, what are your one-on-ones?
and other things,
Oh,
and other
got it.
things. It's just like, it's in that category, not in the meetings.
Got it.
Yeah, when we do our work planning, we don't combine these two things, but we split them out here. Like when I plan my 2-week work schedule, I put meetings all in one category.
Got it.
But I can start looking at how it breaks out.
Well, I think it's maybe a good metric for you,
Yeah.
just to see how much you're doing external facing.
And then things that we've been putting together, this was in our draft plan for next year, but things we're looking at are our revenue. So we want to look at a revenue measure for next year, explore that, build relationships with new leadership at the county and RPD and IVCSD. Keep looking at our governance streamlining, and CSA 31 is one, the lighting special district that the county controls is one we want to look at specifically this year. Keep looking at opportunities around IV to rent or, lease or purchase property, and including these properties, but also others. We want to complete our UUT audit. We're actually only doing 2 companies right now anyways. We're doing Edison and Gas. So once we finish those, the others will be easier, I assume, but we'll keep working on that. It's taken a couple months just to even start getting the data, which we haven't yet. So, it'll take some time. Creating a data dashboard, which we've already started working on like the major data that we want to track of, are we doing a good job in making IV a better place? So we had that at IV community, at IV Safe last time, which is like all this crime and safety data, and keep working on program evaluation. That's it. It's a short report.
The UU,
Yes.
go please. UUT audit, so are we required to do audits every certain number of years?
We're not required to do an audit technically at all, but I'm gonna use audit a lot. So we get audited every
Right.
year by an independent auditor. And every year since we were created, our independent auditor, which has been the same person, has recommended we do an audit of our tax collections. And so we are pretty much doing this to comply with our audit, and because we've just seen so much not discrepancies, but weird fluctuations with the tax revenue that we want to get to the bottom of by looking at the data and seeing, okay, is it Edison's fault? Is it, customers not paying? Is it them not collecting? We don't know or is it just the billings are down, like less electricity is being used? So we want to know what the facts are and why our revenues aren't matching what we think they should be. Because, for example, I can't say this is for this year, but I think last year we had seen a notice that Edison was increasing rates by a certain percentage. I think it was like 10 or 12%. But our revenues are not showing that. I'm not seeing 10 or 12% increase in Edison collections. We need to understand why. So,
do you have confidence that you'll get the information that you need from these agencies?
I don't know. I mean, we did. So we sent them our request, or it's not really a request. We are empowered to require response. So we sent them that, and we gave them a deadline that was a week and a half ago, and they did ask for an extension. So we'll get to when we get the data, we'll look at it. We met with them and we did go over our requests, and they said they'd ask if they had more questions, and they didn't. So.
Interesting.
Other questions or comments? How about you over there, Spencer?
I'm not done yet. During COVID, the Santa Barbara County Public Health Department did a really nice dashboard of a lot of different metrics and data. Yeah, I can't remember what they used, but it was a company that they would then populate, and I just wondered, what have you thought about what you're going to use for that software, or how
not yet. No. I mean, not on the software, and we're more thinking still like what it's going to have in it.
Yeah.
Before we get to that point. We have the crime and medical data now. For we have it over a year and over many years, and so we've got that worked with fire and EMSA and the SPSO. So that's, I think, a lot of the data people care about. When people ask us for data or contact us, this is usually the one they're asking for. So it'll be nice to at least have that online, that we can direct people directly to our website, and then we can build out from there.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be fun when I was thinking about what Katie was doing, talking about the number of volunteers. That's a great statistic, a great number to highlight, to showcase the community and the spirit of the community. So, there's fun data that you could include as well. Yeah. I got nothing else.
That's okay if you change your mind. We'll open it up to you.
Let's see. Dispenser. There's Spencer.
Hello, we're
recognizing
your yellow hand.
Right on cue. I'm just here to say that I really want to emphasize the goal there of exploring our revenue options. This is our budget season, and each week we get presentations about all the awesome stuff that our grants and our programs want to do, and we're not in a budget situation where we can say yes to everything, where we have the resources to meet the needs of the community. And so I think that that is a really critical goal this year for operations, is looking at what are our options for raising more revenue.
Thank you, Spencer.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Okay, I have another question. So looking, I just want to ask you, Jonathan, when
Yes.
you look at your staff time breakdown, are you pleased at how this is looking? Are there things that, as you look next year, that you want to make tweaks to, or are you feeling like this is a healthy kind of breakdown for how you want to manage IVCSD?
Yeah, I think it's looking, it's good. I mean, I don't think it's in a bad place. I think it can always evolve and get better as to meet our needs. So I think our team management, we've only had essentially 6 months with half the structure and then a year with the other one. I think it's settling into a great place. So I think that can end up being a place where it could change, not necessarily be less, maybe a little less, but that area it's the biggest area, right? So that and operations. The operations is also, some of these things I have to do it myself. And so I'm okay doing that. I think like a parking project, getting that started up, it makes a lot of sense for me to do that direct work. And then once it's more into a routine program, we transfer it into a department for regular operations. So those are the two biggest areas. The other areas are smaller, and I wouldn't say they could be messed with too much at this point. Like, they couldn't get smaller essentially, but I think you could end up having more, like you said, maybe there's more external meetings I would be at instead of internal ones. But that's why I had mentioned like the meetings kind of blur to me, because the way we track them right now before this is that it's just all meetings. So yes, I think we should try to get more precise on that. We do try to track our meeting. Like we, as a staff, look at all our meetings every month that are coming up. And we are intentionally not trying to be in too many meetings constantly, because then you can't get real work done. But then there are some meetings you need to be at to, speak your voice and bring things up. So it's a balance, but that is something every month we track, is which meetings everyone's going to. Are we all going to one meeting? Does that have to be the case? Things like that.
Thank you. Okay, then, I think I'll move on to reports.
Oh dear.
5.1, reports from members of the board. You have anything for us, Spencer?
Sorry, you caught me a little bit off guard while I was blowing my nose.
Oh,
So sad. So glad you're not here.
I wish I was there, but in a healthy state.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think that I reported everything out since last time.
Okay, well, if you think of something, I'll be happy to come back to you. Anybody else on the board have anything to report? Okay, have we had any standing or ad hoc committee meetings that have anything to report?
No, we weren't able to have our policy committee meetings since our staff that were presenting policies were all out sick. So on that day. So we'll try to get a new meeting scheduled ASAP, but it's a tough time right now to get.
People are feeling run down, maybe.
We have just different vacations got for our staff are also scheduled right now too, which is like, it's a good time right now, like end of May, beginning of June.
Yeah,
so.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, report from district council.
Thank you. I do have a report today. So Jonathan has been looking, as you are all aware, at the budget for this year, and he found a discrepancy in the amount that the board has been paid for stipends and the actual budget that has been budgeted. So the board is actually being paid less than what was budgeted, and we are on a mission to figure out why. I have looked at the board resolution on stipends and also the policy, And it looks like there is a discrepancy in what the policy allows versus what the resolution allows. So I'm going to be making some recommendations to the policy committee to expand what is legally allowable to be paid to the board. So that way, hopefully, you all can get paid for your participation in district events, public meetings, attendance at other agency meetings, trainings, all of those things that you all do for the district.
Okay,
Basically, it's not that people are being underpaid, it's that we budget for 3 service days a month. But most, we're not spending 3 service days a month levels. And so we want you to be able to claim that 3rd service day. But yeah, the list of what's allowed is limited. It could be longer. And then, so we just have to have a process for it. So when we originally put all this in place many years ago, we were only doing board meetings as service days. But a few years ago, we expanded the budget to 3 service days, but then maybe didn't do the change of what's allowable to be reimbursed for or paid for. So, you're not being able to claim it because those things aren't on the list. So we're trying to figure that out.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Jay?
Jay.
I'm a little confused. Looks like our grain is not entirely. So it's like I oftentimes will go a month where I feel like I'm not supposed to get paid 3 service days a month.
For sure.
Because I will have the 2 board meetings and the committees I'm on are all canceled. And so like I feel like it was like intended that like the budget is for an amount that is larger than the amount that we will necessarily pay.
Well, yes, and it's like we're not even set up to be able to spend the 3 service days fully sometimes. Like let's say like Carrie goes to the IVRPD meetings to be a representative there. That is an allowable thing, but it's not in our policy that's allowed.
Got it.
For example, same going to like a public event to represent the district. In the government code, that's allowed, and people on the board do that, but that's not in our policy. So people aren't getting paid to represent the district at an event where you might be representing the district at that event.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, because I was like, isn't that discrepancy intended? Like, okay, now I understand.
And have people been getting paid for a 3rd event?
No, it's been averaging up, people getting 2 a month instead of
I don't think
3.
I ever have.
No, so that's why
So
we're trying
we'll
to,
have a way to, that we'll have to like claim it or.
we'll have a way to claim it, more things eligible to be claimed potentially. And also we're gonna just audit it right now just to make sure that, okay, maybe everyone did everything and that's just how it worked out between absences and everything. But it is, like 13,000 out of 25 spent, so half.
Okay.
That's a good catch. Could you tell us what upcoming meetings we have, by the way?
Board meetings
Well,
or?
I have a bad feeling that I missed a meeting that I was supposed to, policy meeting?
That was the one I mentioned we couldn't
That had
end
to
up
be
having.
canceled.
Was that because of me?
No, it was
No.
our
Oh.
staff,
The
our
staff
staff
was
was
sick.
out.
Oh, okay. God. Well, I would have missed it because clearly I didn't know what it was.
It's okay. No, I would have let you know in advance
Oh,
more
okay,
if
thank
we
you.
knew it was gonna happen. But we have our June 10th and June 24th meetings for sure. We might have a special meeting on June 26th.
Can you repeat those dates?
June 10th,
Mm-hmm.
June 24th,
Uh-huh.
and possibly a need for one on the 26th.
And then what's July? Do we have, are we taking one of the July off?
We, in our approved list of meetings, we
Yeah.
have July 8 or 22, but we may need to change that now.
Okay,
To get quorum.
okay, I'll be out the 8th, FYI.
Okay,
That
that's
helps.
good to know.
And the 10th, man, I think something's happening the 10th, but I'm just not sure.
Of June.
I'm teasing. It's Jay's last time.
Oh, I was like, I think there's a board meeting on the 10th. Like, I don't know.
It should be your last meeting.
We're taking
As
this
an official
hard,
person.
Jay. We're taking
Yeah,
this hard.
he doesn't
You can be
remember.
all nonchalant, but we're not feeling that way.
And my last LAFCO meeting will be on Thursday, the 5th.
Nice. Good job.
Okay, anything else for us, Jamie?
Carrie,
That was my only report.
Thank you very
Yellow
much.
hand.
And Spencer, I'm happy to see your face again.
thanks. I just wanted to clarify, on the list of dates, Jonathan, I think we had spoken about canceling July 2020.
Oh, yeah. 2022 we can't do, that's right. So
Okay.
we'll have just another date in July,
Okay.
maybe the 8th
Or maybe,
or
okay.
the 29th, I guess. We'll have to ask.
But we're having our elections on July 26th, question mark,
Which elections?
for Jay's replacement.
June 26th. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have to get back to
Confirm
you
it.
on the exact
Yeah,
date. Yeah, based on
That's a
all.
tentative at this point.
Okay.
Okay. Was that it, Director Brandt? Okay, then I'll go to a report from the general manager.
Yeah, I don't have a big report today. I'll say that we had a good meeting talking to the property providers a couple of weeks ago. The UCSB organizes this quarterly meeting, and we just have so many programs that we can work with them on now. So it was good to talk to them about things where, we can be a benefit and work together to make things better, like the tree program, like our soon to come lighting program, potentially our mediation program. So it's nice to be able to have a productive relationship with that group in terms of making Isla Vista a better place. We also presented our parking plan and our mobility plan to the UCSB Sustainable Transportation Committee last week. That went really well. We were the main topic on the agenda, and it was good to talk to a bunch of different people at UCSB who deal with transportation sustainability issues. We're continuing our work on, we had another meeting on IV parking issues with District 2, and we don't have a final word yet on the county's partnership and funding the program, but we're still providing information as we need to provide it, and hope to get that commitment in our budget cycle, but it's not required to get it done then. Yeah, those are the main three things we're working on, and we also met with UCSB leadership on our public safety programs, and we'll be bringing a report to you guys on the operations of the interpersonal violence investigator and the safety stations on the June 24th meeting. So that'll close out those two programs for this year. But it took, we were working on getting that done, but we'll get it on the 24th. That's it on my report today.
Thank you very much. So then I believe it's time for us to go into closed session for item 6.1, the general manager annual performance and salary review. And do you need to read us into that, Jamie?
Sure. So the board will meet in closed session under item 6.1, general manager annual performance and salary review, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1.
And so it shall be.
Okay, let me put the YouTube away. Okay. I think we're good.
Okay. You say it, Jamie.
Okay, yes, I will report out of closed session. The board met on item 6.1, General Manager Annual Performance and Salary Review pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1. A discussion was had. Direction was given to General Counsel to draft an amendment to the General Manager's contract, which will be presented at a future meeting.
Super, thank you very much. And our next future meeting will take place on June 10th, 2025 at 6 o'clock on Zoom and in the community room at 970 Embarcadero Del Mar. And this meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, thank you.
Yay. Feel better, Spencer. Spencer's still.
I think he might have dropped off.
Oh, poor
No, no, he's
Spencer.
still there. He's still there.
Bye, Spencer.
Good night.
Under the weather. We'll see you guys.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.